So I left there, all pumped up, ready to handle my life's problems that I was having. Because I kept on coming to church where I belonged to. And so I got back to the place. And because he gave me some encouragement words. He said, let go and let God handle it.
Yes, sir.
So I got back and then I was like, hey, I need you to go because you haven't been paying no rent. and so I stepped out on faith because I was able to let go and let God handle it.
That's right.
And for a while, I did struggle a little bit, but I got some more roommates. But then one day, my wife and I was able to sell our manufactured home and move into an apartment. And so it encouraged me because when I belong to a church family and life's problems, no matter what you're going through in life, if you keep on coming to church, if you keep on belonging to a church family, one day a pastor or a preacher is going to speak to your needs. No matter what problem you're having.
That's right.
Because you don't know, because God talks to us. And he's talking to somebody right now that does not belong to a church family. That you need to belong to one. Because you'll be surprised, because sometimes I be going through some things and all of a sudden Pastor May just hit it right on the spot. But what if I didn't belong to a church family? What if I keep on skipping Sundays after Sundays? I would be missing what God has to tell me. And struggling. Because let's think about the Israelites. When they wasn't really focusing on God, when they want to do things their own self, it took them a longer time to get to the promised land. And they had life problems. And if you have life problems, you'll get through it quicker if you focus on God. Because in this church, we do give encouragement words to people. And that's my last point, is it helps me to encourage others. But encourage one another. This is one thing that I love about this church. Even though we're small, but we encourage one another. We encourage people to stick together. Hang on in there. Yes, we may not have no musician, but hang on in there. We don't need music. Back in the days, they didn't have music. And we encourage people to keep on, because you have some folks that they'll leave church if one thing happens. In this church, we encourage people to stay together. Because we all going to mess up in life. Because we need each other to survive. Because if you think about Jesus Christ, he rose from the dead and came back. And told the disciples to go preach and tell everybody good news. And he started to encourage them. And when he encouraged them, they went and encouraged other folks. And so from generation to generation, you have people that started up churches that they belonged to and started encouraging them, and the church grew. So one day, we're all going to die. And everybody, is either God's going to get you, and you're going to meet him in heaven, or you're going to die and have a funeral. Either one, but one day you're not going to be here long. A couple weeks ago, one of my friends told me that he was at this funeral, and there was a young guy that passed away. And he was saying that the pastor told the congregation, because it was full of young people, he's like, y'all need to belong to a church family. And because what happened was the family didn't have nowhere to have a place of service. And then they had to ask the pastor, the deacon had to ask the pastor, can we use your church? And can you preach? But he didn't belong to that church family. And he was like, young people, there are more younger people dying now than older people. Let me say it again. There are a lot of younger people dying now than older people. And a lot of younger people don't have a church home. They don't belong to a family. And it makes it harder on their parents and their grandparents to try to find a place to have their service. And then you have to ask your pastor, can you do me a favor? It makes it hard on that. So young people, or older people, whatever, if you do not belong to a church family, will you belong to one today?
Right.
All right.
There are a lot of people that will say, hey, I want to be a Christian, but I don't need to belong to a church. This is like saying, well, I want to play football in the NFL, but I don't want to be a part of the team. This is like saying, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't want to work.
Right.
So this morning,
Yep.
will you be part of this wonderful family and join us? Everyone in this world do not think that they need to belong to a church family. It doesn't mean that they're going to hell. It just means because they don't belong to a church family. As growing up at St. Paul, saying a lot of things that has happened here, talking to people about belonging to a church family, I do understand why some folks don't want to belong to a church family. One reason is because the way some church folks act.
Yeah.
They act one way in church,
Right.
but they act different ways outside of the church.
Yeah.
And the kids are seeing that.
Yeah.
So when they grow up, they'll be like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to church because they act one way,
Yeah.
and they get home, they act another way.
Right.
Yeah, some folks, they can sing up a storm,
Huh.
but then they can cuss up a storm as well when they get home.
Uh-oh.
So I understand that's a turn off to some folks. One of my friends asked me, told me one time, he's like, Jason. I said, yeah. He said, you know why I don't want to go to church? I said, how come? And we was sitting in his living room, so took a little drink of his beer, and he put his beer down. He said, cuz, my girlfriend, you know, we always fighting. And then he said, we don't fight when you're here, but when you leave, we fight all the time. He said, this morning, she was cussing left and right. Went to church, thought the church going to calm her down, came back, cussed up a storm again. She left cussing and came back cussing. So there was no change at all. He said, I see this every Sunday.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go to church. So I can understand that's a turnoff.
Lord help.
But my question is, will you join us today?
All right.
Because you're only going to live one time. And sometimes, you know, by not going to church or not belonging to one, another reason because you might have bad experience at your other church. You know, they might have some issues, some problems, and you don't want to take that chance again. And you say, I'm not going to never, ever belong to another church again. I just do drive-bys and not come again. And there are over 1 million people that will go to church today, because this is the Back to Church Sunday. And I believe out of 1 million people, I think maybe 1% will join and belong to a church. And you can be that 1% if you come and belong to a church today. At the end of my message, I always ask 2 questions. What should we be? And what we going to do?
All right.
What should we be? We should be Christians. What we're going to do? We're going to belong to the church family. Let's give God some praise.
Amen.
The doors of our Father's house is open. If you have a church home, or if you need prayer, you can come today. It's God's